Hi, this is Randy, and in this video we want to walk through the steps to configure ESXi version 7 for iSCSI. Got a plain Jane install here, no virtual machines, default data stores, and default networking. Okay. Your machines are likely exactly the same. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to be sure that we've got the information that we need as far as our IP addresses, our IQN value for iSCSI, and the IP address of the server that iSCSI is going to connect to. So here's one of my handouts. I'm working on A17 right now. So I can see there's my IP address to use for iSCSI. Okay, got to find 17 in the list here. There it is. There's my IQN value for iSCSI and my server. So we'll need these three pieces of information. Okay. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to go into networking here and then go over to Vm Kernel Nic, and I'm going to add another Vm Kernel Nic. Remember, iSCSI needs to talk directly to the operating system, and that's what Vm Kernel Nics do. Now, in creating this Vm Kernel Nic, I can, in one step, I can create the NIC and create the port group. When we do networking in a future video, you'll see that it's two steps. First, you create the switch, and then you create the port group that goes with the switch, one or more port groups. So I'm going to go ahead and call this port group iSCSI. It needs to be on vSwitch 0, which is tied to a VM kernel. And I'm going to do IPv4 only, and I'm going to make it static. Okay. From that handout, from the PDF file, I know that my IP address is 10.0.0.17. And it is a /24 value, 255.255.255.0. And that's it here. If I wanted to do IPv4 and IPv6, I could select that here. Okay, go ahead and create it. I want to show you something. If I go back and I look at it, I want you to see that it turned IPv6 on, but if you look at it, it's just using the link local values. So that's okay. I can double check my IPv4 and that looks okay. All right. So now that I've created my tie-in to the operating system, I now switch from networking and I go over to storage. I've got my default data stores. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to add an adapter. Right now, there's two choices for adapters. There's hardware adapters called host bus adapters, HBAs. And if I had one, then this would light up. Okay, I don't. So I'm going to do a SCSI or a synthetic adapter, a SCSI adapter, excuse me, a software-based SCSI adapter. And so that's the choice here. This is one of the things that's different between ESXi 6 and 7. ESXi 6 family only allowed you the one option. Okay. Well, what it did was it combined both the hardware-based option and the software-based option into one. And here they're separated out. Okay, so I'm going to go this route, software-based iSCSI. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to configure what I'm going to connect to. So the adapter would be considered the initiator. Well, let me turn it on. Okay, the adapter would be considered the initiator, and then now I'm going to configure it for my target. Okay, so there are different options here, and I want to focus in on just what we're going to use. Okay, we're going to do static targets, meaning that each of us has been assigned a target, and that target has an associated LUN tied to it. Okay, and remember we talked about there's a PDF web link. No, excuse me, it's not a PDF. It's a web link that just reminds us of the definitions that we use in iSCSI. We've got initiators, those are the clients. We've got targets, those are the servers. And then we've got LUNs, or logical unit numbers, and that's the chunks of raw hard drive storage that are associated with a target. Okay. Dynamic is an automatic process, and it doesn't lend itself well to our environment because we've got a lot of servers that are sharing two storage area networks. Okay. So what I do then is I go to my PDF file and I find my server. I'm on server 17. I'm doing iSCSI, so I find my value there. Okay. I bring that over and I go to, I need to be in static here, static targets. I go to add static target and I paste that value in. Okay. For my server, I can just look at that one. That is, for me, it's 10.0.0.243. Okay, and that's it. We're identifying the destination and then the IP address that hosts that destination. Okay. I want you to notice up here, if everything goes well, we see this. Successfully configured iSCSI. Okay, we're looking for that. Yay! Right. Now the thing that we need to do is we need to go and create a data store from that iSCSI. So what we've done so far is we've made the connection between our ESXi server and a storage area network, and we've identified a destination on the storage area network. That was our long IQN number. And now what we want to do is we want to take that raw storage there and configure it to be used on ESXi. So to do that, we go to our data stores. Now I got to tell you, this can be different for, there's two paths, two ways to go here. If the person who had your server, your iSCSI target before, if they deleted and removed it, then you're going to see the full process of identifying it, creating a partition on it, and assigning it or giving it a name and letting it come into ESXi. If that's already been done and not deleted, not erased, then what'll happen is it'll make the attachment and it will bring it in already partitioned and already named. So let's go see. I haven't tested this on this server. So I go to new data store, create a new VMS data store. Okay, I don't see anything which tells me that it's already been done. Okay, if it hadn't been done, you would see it here and you would see in the name, it's a long name, and you would see in the name iSCSI. Okay, so it's already been done, so I'll cancel. Now what I need to do is I need to refresh. And there it is. Okay. All right. I tend to think most of us are going to see this. I had a demo earlier that I was working on, or I was preparing for a demo, and I was able to create the partition, but I goofed up. And actually, I goofed up so bad I need to reinstall that server. So let me just talk about that. The reason that we're doing all of this hardware-related stuff before we create virtual machines is because if we make a mistake, we have less to lose. Okay, so I mentioned I lost a server a little bit ago, half hour ago, that I'm going to need to reinstall. So what do? Well, I'll reinstall and I'll bring it back up to where we are right here, which means I'll install a new certificate on it. I'll create an account for myself. I'll set a time reference for it, and I'll install iSCSI on it. Okay, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. So that's why we're doing this stuff now. The next thing that we'll do in the next video is we'll add our NFS data store, and then that'll be it. We'll have 4 data stores, and we'll turn our attention to networking, and we'll configure our virtual switches and port groups. So I'll see you in the next video.